And once you've cut the pipe, you have these little pieces left, don't throw them away. I've got a tip of what you can do with those as well. Right, so what I've used to fix the blue pipe to the frame are some of these, and one of these little gizmos, one of these. Right, you really need to keep hold of them. Simple reason is, if you hello and welcome to the channel, Gang and Peanuts, two peas in a pod. Today I'm at the allotment and I'm doing what I consider to be one of the most important jobs of the entire season. If you're not sure what that is, it's netting, protecting your crops, protecting them from the pigeons, protecting them from the cabbage white butterflies, protecting them from the carrot fly, the allium leaf miner, various other pests that are going to try and eat your crops well before you get a chance. Netting the crops that you have been spending weeks or months growing, and you don't want to lose them at this stage. So I'm going to show you what I do, and as ever remember, what I do is not always the right way. It's certainly not the only way, it's just my way, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get into it, shall we? And let's look at building some structures that we can drape the netting over and start the process of protecting our crops. So, one of the things I've used in the past are these little connector balls. I think that's what they're called. I'm not sure. I'll put a link down below somewhere to let you know where I got them from. But they're a very quick, very cheap, very cost-effective way of starting to build a cage to put your netting over. It's very simple. You take a post or a cane, a bamboo cane, and you simply fit the connector ball onto the top like that. Then you can have another cane going in any direction that you want, enabling you to build your structure ready to put your netting over the top. That's just one of the ways. Another thing that I use are these. These are parts from an old grow house, and they are obviously purpose built to slide together quite easily. And you can see it wouldn't be very difficult to build a structure from these. Another thing that you could do is make a more permanent structure by making a timber frame that sits on top of the bed, water pipe, and it makes a very nice frame to drape the netting over the top, and it is more of a permanent structure. I've had these now a couple of seasons and they're still going strong. They're very easy to put together, but there are one or two little tips and tricks. Let me show you what I done when I made these. Get one of these. This is a pipe cutter. It's used by plumbers. They're available in most DIY shops. They're very simple to use. It simply clips over to the pipe. There's a little arrow there that shows you where the cut will be made, and it's a very complicated process of turning this cutter and squeezing it at the same time until it cuts the pipe. Simple. And once you've cut the pipe and you have these little pieces left, don't throw them away. I've got a tip of what you can do with those as well. So keep hold of them for now. Now there are one or two things you can get to make this job a fairly easy job. One of the things that I used are these. They are corner pieces which screw to the top of the wooden frame, and the blue pipe sits in there very easy. There are also straighter ones if you're making your frame to be quite a length. This one is more than 12 feet long and 4 feet wide, and if you look you can see the fixings are fixed to the wood along the length of the timber, and the pipe quite happily sits in there. Makes life easier. This is what I like to use. So the netting that I'm going to be using on this bed, because it's for my brassicas, I'm going to be using this green scaffold debris netting. If you look at it, You can see it's not micro mesh, but it is fine enough mesh to stop the cabbage white butterfly from getting onto your brassicas and laying their eggs. The caterpillars hatch out and overnight they will decimate your plants. You can buy this online. You can buy it in many different colours. So if you want yellow, you can get yellow. If you want pink, you can get pink. So all I need to do now is to drape this over that frame, and hopefully this will form an effective barrier against the cabbage white butterfly. There, that's now trapped. That netting can't go anywhere, but you've got some excess. And you can get some scissors, trim it all off. I like to leave it. Simple reason is, next year I might want to use this piece of netting for a bigger project. I may be building a bigger cage, bigger brassica netting, I don't know, so I just leave it. Doesn't look as tidy, but the net remains intact completely for use next year. You can see that the netting is trapped. You can't get out from behind this piece of timber. I've also put some zip-lock ties on the top to stop the netting moving around on the top. So there we go. Brassicas are planted. The netting is up. I've covered them with an empty water bottle just to give them a little bit of protection while they sulk for a few weeks and get their feet into the ground, and hopefully they'll go on to make some really nice strong plants. So all I need to do now is close it up and leave them to do their thing. That's the brassica netting done. Let's look at the other netting that I use on the allotment. Now, the other netting is, as I mentioned earlier, it's the insect mesh or enviro mesh netting, and it's excellent for growing onions under. It keeps out the allium leaf miner, it keeps out the onion root fly. Also, it's brilliant for growing carrots under because it keeps away the carrot fly, as well as keeping away all the butterflies and one or two other pests. Now, the only problem with this netting is it's very prone to damage. If you get caught on a corner, it will make a hole. If you get anything hot on it, it will burn a hole. So it's notoriously difficult to repair effectively. But I think I may have found something that will make a pretty good repair. Let me show you what it is. So, if we assume that I had a hole in this piece of netting, what I would do is I'd put the sacrificial piece of netting over the hole, and using one of these little gizmos, I would trap it. And if I get this right, that squeezes onto there, and it clips over the top like that. The sacrificial piece of netting is covering the hole, and I've been using that quite successfully to close up some of the holes that I have on some of my netting, and it works quite well. So maybe it'll work for you as well, who knows. There we go, hole closed. A bit untidy, but obviously you could tidy it up a little bit after if you want it to look great. Now, I mentioned earlier, when you cut your blue pipe, if you have any small pieces left like this, then you really need to keep hold of them. Simple reason is, if you cut the pipe and then open it slightly, Makes a very good clip to keep your netting on. That's how I use the netting on my allotment, how I build a frame and cover it with the netting, and what I use the netting and what crops I use it to protect and why. So what I'll do is I'll try and leave some links down at the bottom of the page with some websites where I bought the netting from, and also where I bought these little gizmos from. If you want to have a go at repairing any holes you may have in your netting, let me know how you get on. Leave a comment down below. So that's it from me, and as ever, until next time, take care. Bye.